What up, Gripsters and random YouTubers? Evan here for Gripst.com, continuing with my review of Joan Mordan's $13,155 win in the Full Tilt Poker Double Deuce. We're at some big boy blinds, 10K, 20K, with a big ass ante. Field is starting to get quite small, so I'm going to slow things down so that we can follow all the action together. Joan just won a massive pot last hand, vaulting him over the 1 million chip mark. If you'd like to see it, go ahead and check out part 3. And if you haven't yet, I would encourage you to check out parts 1 and 2 as well so you can see how we got to this point. And for everyone who's up to date, let's get right into it. We got AA and I think we can click it up. Now, I don't know if we need to necessarily... Oh, that was 400K. Never mind. I thought it was 40K. I was going to talk about maybe raising a little smaller, but someone just shoves in 500,000, 20 blinds. Yeah, the play is to just ISO over the top because calling is effectively the same thing. This ace-8 is definitely a hand we can raise on the cutoff. We have the chips on the table, and with there being so much money in the middle every hand, it's worth applying some pressure to our opponents and forcing them to pick up a hand. Even if they get dealt something okay, when seeing a raise from the chip leader, it's not an automatic play. And yeah, we want to take advantage of as many opening spots as we can when we have this sort of chip stack, because losing 2 big blinds here and there is not going to have any impact on our position in the field, but building up that image and taking down pots over and over and over is going to help to pad our lead and help us maintain a position at the front of the field. That's the place we want to be, at the front, staying at the front. So I'd like to see a raise here. And interesting, he's going with the min. Joan, if you can, please tell me your thoughts on why you go with the min raise, blind versus blind, as opposed to going a little bigger. I know when I'm out of position, I like to make it a little bit bigger. And sorry for the speediness there on that hand. I'll be sure to catch it next time. But raise calling with jacks there, pretty standard. 20 blinds, not too much thought there. So we've got a new player on the table, Peripherum, who has a lot of chips. And against him, being 50 blinds deep, a hand like King 10 suited is a hand that we could definitely 3-bet. We could definitely flat with and just play our chip stack versus his chip stack. He's probably not going to want to get involved with the one guy who can really do some damage to him. And we should take advantage of that fact. One of the biggest benefits of being the chip leader is that the other people with a lot of chips, they don't want to tangle with you. And they have a lot of chips to give away. You know, not necessarily just like give away, but a lot of chips that you can like leverage them for. Nice hold with the 9s. Do we like that guy's reshove for 10 bigs with the A7? I don't know. If X West isn't raising with the intention of folding on that stack, like if he's not trying to steal, A7 suited actually does not do all that well against the range he's going to get it in against. But that's one of the reasons we love to play these smaller buy-in tournaments, is that people just don't really know what's going on with ranges. Facing a raise this big, I think we can fold the King Jack. Is this the 7-9 off guy? Maybe. Now he's the Queen Jack off guy. And although he opened for a large amount, we could treat it as a shove. And if if you're comfortable getting in 15 blinds there, I'd like to see a raise with Ace-4, by the way. If we're comfortable getting in for like 10, 12 big blinds there with King Jack, I think it's fine to isolate there. And this guy raised pretty large in the last video with 9-7 off, and he could be tilted. I think King Jack's an okay hand there to gamble with, but by no means a spot that's like a must take. This Queen Jack suited, God. Again, I'd like to see a raise. But Joan is playing the solid style, so I'm gonna stop getting upset and giving him a hard time about it, because clearly he knows what he's doing. The guy's got 2 million chips. He's on his way to taking down the Double Deuce, and his strategy of just protecting his chips, avoiding big confrontations, unless they're on his terms, when he's putting his opponents to the test, is working out just fine so far. It's a hand we can raise and put them all in for 10 bigs. That's cool. It's hard for him to find a hand to call, and even when he does find a hand to call, we still got a decent chance of winning. What do we got? What do we got? Oh, it doesn't update. I think it got about 35%. A little bit more there. Got him. See, I mean, even if you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar, if it's for all the chips, you can still suck out. This is definitely a hand that needs to be raised. I know I said I'd stop, but Jack 9 suited on the button, one player to get through. Joan was probably just really excited about the last hand. Maybe recognized that the other players might have seen him show down that Jack 6 and therefore be more likely to play back at him. But Jack 9 suited on the button, that's just a premium hand. And premium hands should always be played. Could open this, although it depends what the stacks are in the blinds and if we're going to be priced in to call an all in. And if we are going to be priced in to call an all in, are we going to be sheepish about having to turn our hand over, or are we going to be comfortable with the fact that people will see us show down a 6 high? Just some of the things to think about before you just automatically open a pot because of, you know, your cards are pretty or whatever. So far we aren't getting too much of a chance to develop reads because most players are fairly short stacked, so most of the play is just in the all-in range. But as we start to get deeper and deeper in the tournament, you know, there's probably 4 tables left now. Once we get down to 3 tables, 2 tables, 1 table, stacks are going to get deeper because although the blinds will go up, all the chips in play are going to be spread amongst fewer players, and we're just going to find that Joan is in a deeper stacked situation. And that's where you really get to know people, is how they play when they're deep. That's where you can find spots to take advantage of them. The 5 blind, 10 blind, 20 blind game, there isn't that much variety to it. Either someone plays it well or they play it terribly. You adjust accordingly. But once you start to get deep stack, there's a lot more room for variety and stylistic things that will lead to different counter strategies. Okay, so what do we have here? Worth noting that on a stack of about 14 big blinds, Joe Lindog opened with ace-2 offsuit. So if we see that, and we're, you know, X-West or peripherum, we're going to know that against this guy, we can probably, we could probably get away with a 3-bet, a light 3-bet, even when he's raising on a short stack, because he's just opening with too weak of hands. All right, now he's all in, and despite the okay pot odds, 1.42 to 1, probably just fold. We do have an ace, which could be the best hand, but we don't need to give this guy action. We don't need to flip some of our chips when all we have invested is a big blind. You know, if we had something like ace-8 or ace-10, we're probably going to be calling there, but we don't need to with ace-deuce. And X-West lets us know who's boss with a 3-bet. I'm happy to see that Joan opened the king-8 on the button. Disappointed to see that the first time he makes the lightish open, he got played back at. And what do we got? Tidlow is crazy. We will be remembering that. Tidlouse is ready to go. Another open spot we could have taken, but would have got shoved on. What are we looking at here? Full 10 big blind all in? Yeah, no need to call. If we had the king 10 suited and we were in the big blind, could see calling, but with still like 6 players to act behind us, the king 10's a fold. And against this guy, I don't see any play other than 4-betting and calling off. He's shown that he's a bit of a player. He's shown that he'll mix it up a bit. So, you know, if he can open ace-2 offsuit on 12 big blinds, he's probably capable of 3-betting light against an under-the-gun opener as well. It feels like a lot of chips, 650,000, but it's only about 25 big blinds, and we have, 2.3 million. So even if we were to lose this pot, we'll still have 1.7. We still have a lot of room, well over 50, 60 big blinds. So probably just go with it here. And he was light. We take it down. Flatting there keeps in like all of his bullshit hands, but it also just puts us in like a really awkward spot playing out of position. Trust me, playing 3-bet pots out of position is a challenge. So Joan takes the pot odds here, flops top pair. I'm down with that. We've seen that both of these guys are players. Both of these guys will have wide ranges, so if we can flop a pair, we can give some action, feel good about it. I would be very interested to hear why, Joan, you opted to go with a check raise here instead of a check call, and what your plan was if he came over the top of this check raise. I would imagine it's fold, but I can't really think of anything we're ahead of other than a flush draw if he comes over the top there. So maybe it's kind of a protective value / find out where we're at kind of check raise. And I'm down with that. And Joan just having the chip lead, but not going too crazy with it, He's not feeling like he needs to raise every hand. He's probably so far ahead of the field with this chip lead that he can coast to the final table. And Tidlow just giving it away. Very, very unnecessary, all in there. And here, I'm going to guess we're on the final 2 tables, but it could be final 3. Like the ISO here. I mean, what is this guy limping with? And the 3-bet, I love the 3-bet from the guy on the button. He's got chips. He can threaten us. We're not really going to want to battle with him too much, but getting this price, we can't fold. Got to see a flop. And, well, he just gets it. Does anyone check raise here? Like, does anyone make it 285K? I wonder what hands Mr. Raja would continue with if we do that. And if there's any like semi-strong hands we can get him to fold. Okay. We got a shove for about 15 big blinds here. 8s is a really strong hand. I would never fold this. We're getting a good price. We're going to be flipping some. He may even have some smaller pairs sometimes. And it's just like 8s is a really strong hand. Especially when you're looking at playing a pot where the guy has like 12, 13, 14, 15 big blinds. You got a pocket pair, a medium-sized pocket pair, get in there. Don't even think about it. You've already got money come in, just get in there, gamble. Sometimes he'll have you beat, but most of the time, he won't. And even sometimes he does, you can still just get there on him, so it's all good. Just cruising. I think we can definitely defend here, getting a really good price. And on this flop, let's see. Super gut shot. I could see a call here. I know we only have a gutter. There's already 375K out there. And to make it a profitable call, we have to expect to win about 720K total with our implied odds. So more than half of it's already in the middle. And just think about it. If we drill a 9 and someone else has a jack, which is entirely possible, we're getting a lot more than just, the 300K we need. We're getting everything. And hands like 2 pairs, or if anyone has a set, they're going to have a hard time folding. And this guy on the right looks like a fish. So I can definitely see calling. And then on this turn, we just fold. At this point, 112K. It's not that far off, actually. We need about another 330 in implied. We know we're getting 100 from the fish. So if we can get 200 from Misu, we can call. I think I'd fold it on the turn, but I understand calling. And now, based on the odds we're getting, we have to be right here 10% of the time, and we river top pair. I think we have to call. And Joan goes for a value min raise. Not sure if I like the raise on the end. I think it's a bit unnecessary, and we were pretty dead. But 9 would have been cool. I think I fold that hand on the turn. The pre-flop play is fine. The flop play is fine. On the turn, it's just like your implied odds go down a lot when there's only 1 street left, as opposed to 2. And I think it's a spot where we just could let it go. Okay. So at this point, we're just going to try to see, who's opening a lot of pots, who's playing solid. The guys who are playing solid are going to be the guys that we don't really notice too much, but we want to see who's really ramping up the aggression, who's going for it, who's capable of making plays, and who's capable of only playing their cards. And we see that X West with a little float there, a little ace high float, turns it into a bluff on the river. PU played his hand pretty straightforward. And what do we got here? A check shove with a draw. And, worth noting that Mr. Raja is making the call here with the 10 and not sweating it too much. It's hard for Verrier to have a king when there are 2 on the board, so I understand the call. But not everyone is making that call. Some people would get afraid. So Misu, not afraid, will be my notes so far. X West, big reshove there, 20 blinds. He probably had a real hand. Generally, the more chips people are shoving in, the stronger their holding is. Because there's kind of a sweet spot of like 15, 20 big blinds where you can reshove a lot, because the risk-reward ratio is just so good. But if you're going to shove more chips than that in, your risk is very high and your reward isn't so huge. So it's important to have a strong hand to back it up, so that all the times you do get called, you have pretty good equity. And for anyone who's new and doesn't know what equity is, that is just your chance of winning the hand. It's your percentage chance of winning. And this Queen 10 is definitely a hand that we could pop in a 3-bet. We've seen that No Trust Ever is raising a decent amount, and he's folded to a 3-bet before. So that would have been a pretty good spot to go for one. Any Broadway hand can flop reasonably well, is going to be a fine candidate for 3-betting if you're in the mood for that. Don't think that every time you get dealt Queen 10 now that you have to 3-bet it just because I said, hey, this is a good spot. This is a very unique, particular spot, and it's not even a must-take. As we saw, Joan did not take it, and he is still going to win the tournament. Okay. Misu applying the pressure, and X West seems like a player. He likes to see flops, so he'd be someone that maybe be a good candidate for 3-betting with value hands. But then again, who isn't? So we take it down with the 6s. And I like the larger raise size there as well, because Misu's is a bit of a player, and we don't love the idea of playing a pot with him out of position this deep stacked with a hand like 6s that doesn't usually flop a ton of equity. So I like the higher raise size there. Okay, what are we looking at here? 5 big blind shove, definitely calling. Raising to shut some people out of the pot is okay, make it like 330K. We can't go all in because it's a few too many chips, but I like the ISO. Just so that like Lao Dessa doesn't call with some junky hand, getting the right price, and we just kind of want to blow him off his equity there. Same thing here, we're going to 3-bet these 9s, and wow. We definitely would have had to call PU for the price we were getting, another 320 into a well over 6, well over 7 actually. I would guess that Joan's plan was to call No Trust if he went all in, but with another player coming in over the top, I think we can fold. And the only way I could see calling is if, based on his timing, we had a stone read that X West had ace king and ace king only. Because if he ever has a bigger pair, we're fucked. And he does indeed have a bigger pair, as does Piu. And we would have lost that one. So X West saved us a little bit, and I would imagine if they had all the kings and we had the nines, no trust probably didn't have too much. And it was a good 3-bet that Joan put in there. Now, I would guess we're on the final table bubble at this point with these blinds, and given that we're playing 6-handed. So we'll probably take this video down to the final table and then do a separate video just for that. No trust, really opening up his game. You know, opening himself up to get played back at, but it seems like no one really wants to take advantage of that. And most people are just waiting for good hands, which is typically what you're going to see in small tournaments. In a lot of tournaments, actually, other than like the biggest buy-in, toughest ones. Like, you're going to see a lot of people just waiting for hands, waiting for the spots, and just trying to play their cards, because if playing their cards got them this far, which can happen in a tournament, why would they change anything up? You know, I love that Joan flatted here. We know that this guy's opening a lot of hands, so he's got a lot of garbage which would just be folding to a 3-bet. And given that we haven't 3-bet him before, he's probably going to assume we have a pretty strong hand if we 3-bet him now. So I like the flat, and I would love a flat again, because this board's just so good for us. Oh my god, there's a flush draw. What if a spade comes? He's not going to fold a flush draw if we raise anyway. And he could have like king, queen, king, jack, something that's drawing dead, and we just want him to hit a pair. So here we can bet. I think we should bet since the board's starting to get fairly connected, fairly wet. And if he has any piece, he's not going to be able to fold it. So we should try to extract some value from him. Charge him a little bit. If he's got a draw, charge him a little bit. I'm thinking somewhere in the range of 150 to 250,000. John's right in there, and we take it down. Oh man, we didn't stack him with our aces. No big deal. We probably extracted an extra 100,000 out of him, plus 34 from Piu that we wouldn't have got had we just 3-bet pre-flop. If, however, we had been 3-betting him a decent amount and had built up an aggressive dynamic with him, whoa, big hand, then we definitely would want to 3-bet the aces there, because he's ready to play back at us. He's ready to 4-bet. He's waiting for an opportunity. So it's important to know whether you have those dynamics or not before deciding whether to 3-bet or flat with a good holding. Interesting to see that Piu flatted here, giving Leo Dessa the chance to reshove, and Misuraja just gonna suck them all off and pick up the 4 million chip pot. And what happened here is that Leo Dessa reshoves 20 blinds, and Misuraja probably figures that on this stack size, in this perfect squeeze spot, there are going to be some worse aces that Odessa's putting in, a lot of pairs he's putting in, a lot of king queens, and a lot of hands that, you know, Misuraja's in okay shape against. That's kind of why he takes this spot. Super unlucky to run into a hand behind, but actually, given that he needs to hit an ace anyway against queens, might as well take the overlay on the pot. Like, if he could see their cards after he'd already put it in with ace-10, he would be begging for the kings to put it in. Think about that. You guys want to watch it one more time? Yeah, let's watch it one more time, because the ace always comes. Guy with kings is like, are you kidding me? I can't remember. I've been playing poker for 15 years, and I have never seen a flop not come ace high when I have kings. Come on, man. Okay, we got Abrams added to the table. I'd imagine there are about 10 left, and that is going to change quick. It's a flip. It's a flip. 9-9 for the win. 9-9 for the win. Okay. And I recognize all these players, which leads me to believe that this is probably the final table. Let's get the boring stuff out of the way, since the start of final tables usually play fairly slow. So just before we wrap up this video, we'll run through a little bit, see if we can't maybe bust one player, and then call it in. So looking at the stacks, is that 6 million or 600,000? Okay. We'll look at the stacks at the start of next video. For now, we'll just try to bust one person. And Joan not taking any bullshit by him, responding, keep repping, man, keep repping. You got the ace on the turn, keep repping. Abrams can peel that flop raise with any pair hoping to improve. And on that turn, he's not all that likely to improve. Also, what ace highs does he have? He's not bet calling with ace highs. He's bet folding them, if he's betting them. So that ace was a really nice card. And I'm interested, Joan, to hear if you would have continued betting on any other turns, or if the ace was the only one you'd really go for. So we got a classic flip, queens versus ace king, and looks like the video is going to keep on going for just a little bit longer. Shortest stack has 15 blinds. These blinds are big. 20K, 40K. This queen jack, we're going to open. And it's interesting. I've been talking about raising queen jack all tournament. And I think this is one time where we actually don't necessarily need to raise it. Because being at the final table, and being in, like, what are we, second place? Tied for second about? We don't need to do too much. We can just kind of chill and make money just by being here. And Joan hits him with the 2 barrels. Beautiful. Beautiful. For one bet, and with all the chips Mr. Raja has, he can peel the flop with a 10. He can peel the flop with a 9. He can peel the flop with maybe even a gutter, as well as any ace. But his range for being able to call that second bet really goes down. Flush draws may be folding now. Weak straight draws are definitely folding. Even like an 8-7 is probably folding. The only hands that really continue are 9s and strong aces. A lot of which he won't have because he just flatted pre-flop as opposed to squeezing. So pretty much unless he has like 9x, 10-9, some sort of slow played 9, we could probably take that down with a second bet. Good to see Joan pulling the trigger. A lot of people will just check back there to take the free card without realizing that even if the guy's like ace-5, when you fire that second barrel there, it's not that easy for him to just call. And Abrams, good luck, buddy. We'll slow this one down. We got ace-jack, donked it off against ace-queen. Like, oh man. You see ace jack and it's like, well, I got 12 blinds. I should probably put it all in. But what do you think the worst hand that the guy who's raising under the gun also on 13 blinds is going to have? Probably something better than ace jack. Anyway, bad play gets rewarded. It's online poker. What else is new? Abrams left with, what is that, 1 big blind? 1.25 big blinds? Well, looks like we're going to be the one doing the dirty work. Don't fold, Abrams. You get pretty good pot odds. Joan bluffing into the dry side pot. Wow, guys like, oh my god, I flop trips, I'm getting back in the tournament. Nah, bro, you're drawing dead. There is no card that you can catch to save you. Hit the showers, buddy. All right, so we busted one off the final table. We're down to 8. So that's going to wrap up part 4 of this series. If you haven't already, and you're still watching the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you can be informed when upcoming parts are released. If you have any questions about hands, please post them in the comments, and Joan, myself, and of course, the community will be happy to help out, clear things up, answer your questions, help getting you think the right way, and just getting those mental juices flowing. And of course, if you want to join Team Gripst, you want to maybe get a hand history reviewed, or you just want to be part of the team, head on over to gripst.com and sign up. It's free, it's easy, and there are going to be a lot of cool things coming in the future for members. Always a pleasure. This has been Evan. I'll see you tomorrow. In the meantime, go out there and get stacking.